Hello, everyone. This is episode 3 of the Flyway Focus. Leonard Lange tuning in here. This is my fourth take at this video, so we're just going to roll with it this time. I just want to do a nice little 20-minute video discussion. So, what I'm going to talk about here today is with Poker League. This has been fantastic. It's great and great experience for guys to get together. Really, it is about discussion first and poker second. So, but what I want for this next night, March 28th, coming at you, is for everyone to bring in a hot take that maybe the group doesn't like, not familiar with, or it's not a mainstream discussion, and not everyone's going to like agree 100% with. And so I just want to share my worldview here of men and women and the different balances over the last, we'll say, 200-300 years. I think a lot has changed, and I think a lot of it helps describe the anxiety and culture classes that are going on in today's world. So yeah, this will be pretty quick, about 20 minutes worth. I think everyone can get a lot of good takes from this, especially something to think about going into the next poker night and beyond. So basically, my worldview here for men and women, if we go back to beginning of time or like Middle Ages and Common Era when Jesus was around and stuff like that. Like basically men have had the upper hand. We're stronger, we're faster, and these are the things that help you, survive in the wilderness or African plains or on, if you're fighting with other Indian tribes, or maybe you're trying to bash someone's head in the middle of Europe or not get conquered by Rome, all that stuff. So like men, we are shown to evolve, and I'm not backing this up. These are general things I've gathered. I'm just going to spitball here, but basically men, we are designed to take punches. We have strong jaws, we're made to like get bones broken and keep on ticking, basically. Whereas women have been, over thousands of years, like to birth babies and, you know, raise kids, basically. Yeah, I just think that has been the case for a long, long time, and there's nothing we can do about it. But with that being said, things have changed over the last 200-300 years to throw this like imbalance out. I mean, because basically, if you're on the African plains, like it's pretty simple. You're as a man, your job is to fight, get food, and breed or whatever. And then women, like, there's no higher education or whatever. You're just like making babies and taking care of the household. And if there's a fight going on, yes, you can do things like there are sticks and sharp arrows, but generally, like, you know, I would argue that professional UFC fighter in women like would lose to Carl Nelson pretty easily. Like, sure, maybe there's a couple chokeholds and stuff, and could go psycho, but Carl's a big dude. He's not going to lose to most women out there. Like, I would argue that he would whoop Ronda Rousey's ass pretty easily. And so there's other things like that, just like strong men, we're designed bigger and all that kind of stuff. So for thousands of years, it was pretty simple. The men like combat and women were in the household and stuff like that. But over the last 300 years, we've started to see where like, we're fighting less. I've only been in like a couple fights in my life, and none of them have been like true fights, I'll say. We play football, men need a channel or energy somewhere, whether it's competitive sports or hell, even competitive gaming. But like as actual fighting, there's not a lot of that going on. And also with fighting, like if guns are very prevalent, like if you get in a fight, that's going to win most of the time. And that still requires, men like being able to pull the trigger and war and all this stuff. But over in the past couple, but like I was saying, now that like daily fights are weekly, monthly, or whatever, it's not as common. And so like it has helped given rise to these other industries, whether we're in college or, designing new tools, construction, there's all kinds of different skills and tasks that have come to order rather than fighting and protecting the household per se. And so women, and this is a good book here I'll get to. So this is called A Boys of Men by Richard Reeves. And in it was pretty eye-opening to me, and it talks why the modern male is struggling, why it matters, and what to do about it. And the book is very good, like I said, but one of the main points that he has is like in today's world with information, conversation, communication, men just aren't as well adapted as say women. Women are much more caring or thoughtful for a large part, and they're just designed better that way. And also, like, another interesting point in the book was like, women are much more resilient in terms of like bad household dynamics or growing up. So, like, if you have a household, like, say, a broken home, divorce, neither parent's doing well, like, that boy is gonna go down has a much higher chance of going down a bad path than, say, a girl in the same situation. Um, so like if the boy doesn't have good direction, could easily lead to crime and, not positive outcomes. Whereas a woman, a young girl, she can be subjected to the same circumstances, but for whatever reason, she can generate more positive outcomes, whether it's college or, maybe she becomes a clerk and stuff like that. And especially with higher education now, like, you know, he goes on the book. Like I said, it's a great listen. But like, if you if you want to entrust someone to like get something done, whether it's groceries, errands, or like I don't know, registering for the DMV in your vehicle, and generally speaking, it's better to ask a woman to do these things. She just gets them done, whereas like a lot of men are like, I can do it later or just blow it off. Women are just better designed to complete these tasks. And so like now with the modern day age, like there's more of these tasks going on, and so it's just women are better suited. Whereas men, we're geared towards fighting, but it's not happening anymore. Or men are geared towards like risk-taking activities, and that involves, gambling or crypto or things like that. Because you're trying to make the big breaks. But women and generally do a lot of these more jobs that require a lot more communication. Think marketing, especially the healthcare industry. That's something I'm going to touch on very soon. But yeah, so in this book, he just kind of says like, listen, men have, basically dominated for the last how many thousand years, but over the last 50, 60, it's kind of shifted towards the females. And which has been like overall generally good, but what this has done is created this imbalance of where women are doing well and we have men who are just not doing as well as they could. And so like I'll just show hopefully um okay, I don't have it up. I'll share it. But basically like you're seeing these relationships and for men and women going on, and there's not as many long-term relationships as there used to be, and it's just kind of suffering. So really, in a sense, you could blame the woman once again, but because they're doing better, there's less marriageable men because women want to have a husband who is doing, say, better than they are, and that is just not the case as much anymore. So, okay, and this is do we'll have to go to Blue Sky. Nope, nope, this is here. Really liking Blue Sky, by the way. I think it does a great job and starting to see some a lot of positives from there. So once again, bear with me as I hit this chart. It's coming up. But it just kind of shows how over the last 10, 20 years, especially with the rise of social media, it has kind of gone in different paths as far as relationships, and just men and women aren't like getting together. And there's a lot of this frustration going on. Like, why can't I find a good man? Or blah, blah, blah. And dang it. Yeah, this will come with preparation and things like that in the future. Someday I'll get it. Okay. Anyways, I'm not able to find it. This is kind of annoying. So, yeah, I just want to share that like I do see like there's this huge imbalance, and I think that's part of it. And there's a lot of implicit and external biases. And so like what he goes about here in Boys and Men is how his son actually likes working and caregiving with kids, but like honestly, because men are stronger and we can be prone to outbursts, I'm not gonna lie. Whereas like if a woman goes crazy, she might go crazy and hurt herself, but if a man goes crazy, he can hurt a lot more people. And so his son is actually discriminated against in childcare industries because like we don't want a man watching our child because statistics show, just for example, um, child molestation or other things you don't ever want to think about are more likely to happen with men. And so that's why women are entrusted. And another thing with like the rise of medical industry, we have a lot of us have wives or girlfriends who are, nurses or occupational therapists where these things didn't exist like 100 years ago. Your choice was either be a mom, go teach, or like, you know, part-time nurse for the male doctors or something like that. So basically, things have really shifted, and it's been interesting for society to sort out. And yeah, I just think there's a lot of changes. And another thing with like social media, like it's much easier to like get away from a long-term commitment, or especially if your partner isn't like up to standards, it's just easier for women to switch, I feel. So, um, yeah, I could go into this more, but like I just want to say like there's a lot of things going on. It's a big thing that I believe is under discussed, and especially if women are able to earn as much as you or more, that's a big change as well, compared to 50 years ago. Oh, yeah. So another thing I'll quickly touch about is like, 100 years ago, like or I'll just use my great grandfather for example. It's on like my mom's side up in St. John. And, like he was a hardcore farmer, things were, you're out in the 1910s or whatever, you're trying to like scratch a living from the farm. And then, the farm wife, like she, um, a nice lady from all I understand, but she had like seven kids and things were, you run ragged on the farm. There's a lot, you need the labor and just no time for respite really. And this is just a story I heard, but like, so she went into like the nursing home for a little bit, and the husband was still alive. I think she had some issues, declining health and blah, 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 but she did not want to go back to that farm. She was in St. John, so this might have been the 50s or whatever, and she was going to like pick and scream to not go back to that farm because it was just such a tough life. And I don't know. I'm just speaking from generalizations, but 100 years ago, like this is before no fault divorce or anything like that. But men had all the power. Like the woman, if she wanted to leave, or because she was getting beat, or husband drank too much, like the options just weren't out there because you had these cultural norms. Like if you're a single woman, you're just like to be frowned upon and born. It was not good. So like in a way, that keeps the family together because the woman doesn't leave. Whereas now it is much more easier. And here's another guy. He's a conservative writer who I actually like to follow and get his ideas down. I don't agree with all of them, but I think he provides a good view. But here he talks about like this new book that come out you can read, and basically it's a woman who's like 40 years old, has a great husband and a kid growing up, and she's just like, I'm bored and I want to free myself, and she ends up like having an affair with a younger man and like just saying like this is good better for me and everything. And this is something that should be celebrated because, like 60 years ago, maybe an affair would like, end your political career, ended a couple campaigns or really had to be kept under wraps. So like Ronald Reagan, I think there's some stuff going on there, but under wraps and plus awesome president. So he kind of keeps things going. And then you have Bill Clinton who had his whole scandals and like, you know, not a great guy, but the economy was pretty good under him as well. And now you have Donald Trump, who is definitely not the bastion of like civil morality, but like he's holding a high position. So like 60 years ago, Donald Trump would have never sniffed, um, the presidency or anything like that. But now we kind of celebrate more selfishness and stuff like that. And so, yeah, Aaron Rennie really puts in a lot of interesting thoughts. He lives in a small suburb in Indiana and can touch a lot of these different viewpoints and stuff. So, anyways, there's a lot of things interesting out there to read. Just kind of like I want to emphasize like dynamics have changed from 100 years ago, and it's really interesting how we manage these today because it is not as cut and dry. Not that it ever was, but I feel in the before times, um, women just when they had less education and opportunities, they just you had more higher marriage rates and they kind of stuck with the family. But then in the 40s, 50s, and the rise of no fault divorce, women could leave, because like not every marriage is perfect and like should be saved. But like I think there's a lot of times where people think, oh, there's some bumps in the road, what's going on? Or like, I don't like the way he snores or he's a little dirty. Like, I'm just gonna leave and begin again. And you know what? Guys can do the same thing as well. But I definitely think because of the rise in education of women, that's kind of like helped, uh, lead to this increase in divorce rate. So what is the opposite argument? Make it so that they can't get, um, as much higher education so they stick with the man. I don't think that's the right way either. And so I'm not sure what is the right way to go, but I just want to like throw that's out there, and that's kind of how I see the picture. And it's messy, and there's a lot that's going to be sorted on with the internet and rise of communication everywhere at your fingertips. So, anyways, I'll post this on Facebook and see how things go from there. Thanks. Talk to you later.